My name is Rebecca Bradford, and I learned early that being the family disappointment becomes easier when you stop trying to prove them wrong. The phone call came 3 weeks before Thanksgiving. Mom's voice had that careful, measured tone she used when delivering bad news she'd already decided was reasonable. "Rebecca, your father and I need to discuss the holiday," she began. I was in my car outside a gallery opening in SoHo, reviewing acquisition proposals on my tablet. "What about it?" "Well..." She paused. The kind of pause that meant she'd rehearsed this. "Your Aunt Caroline and Uncle Richard are coming this year. With the twins. And well, they don't know about your situation." My situation. That's what they called it. My situation was that I'd left my corporate law position at Dad's firm 6 years ago. I'd disappointed them by walking away from the partnership track they'd planned since I was 12. What they didn't know was where I'd walked to. "And having me there would require explanations," I said flatly. "It's just easier this way, sweetheart. You understand? Caroline still thinks you're traveling for work. We've kept it vague. Having you there would create tension, raise uncomfortable questions." Dad's voice came from the background. "Best you skip it, Rebecca. Family harmony and all that." I sat in my Mercedes watching well-dressed collectors enter the gallery. My gallery. Well, not publicly. Publicly, Bradford Gallery belonged to my mother, Margaret Bradford, pillar of the New York art scene. What Mom didn't know was that the mysterious who'd been her largest patron for the past 4 years, the silent partner who'd kept her gallery afloat through the pandemic, who'd purchased over $3.2 million in artwork through her, was me. "I understand," I said quietly. "I knew you would. You've always been so reasonable about these things. We'll see you at Christmas, perhaps." "Perhaps," I replied. After we hung up, I sat there for exactly 60 seconds. Then I opened my email and typed a message to my art advisor, David Chin, my maternal grandfather's nephew, the only family member who knew the truth. Subject: Bradford Gallery. David, effective immediately, cease all acquisitions from Bradford Gallery. Cancel the pending Rothko purchase. Redirect the Q4 acquisition budget to Hamilton Contemporary and Apex Art House. Withdraw all consignment agreements by end of business Friday. No explanations. Just execute. R. I pressed send and stepped out of my car. The gallery owner saw me and smiled. "Miss Bradford, so glad you could make it." That was the thing about New York. Enough money, enough discretion, and you could be invisible while being everywhere that mattered. The backstory of how I became the family embarrassment starts, ironically, with me being exactly what they wanted. I graduated summa cum laude from Columbia. Top of my class at Yale Law. I clerked for a federal judge, then joined Dad's firm, Bradford & Associates, where I was the golden child destined for named partner by 35. Then I started noticing things. How Dad's firm operated on the edge of ethics violations. How they represented clients who bulldozed communities for profit. How my father laughed about helping a developer bypass environmental protections that would have saved a historical neighborhood. "It's just business, Rebecca," he'd said when I raised concerns. "Grow up." But the breaking point came when I discovered they were representing a corporation trying to demolish a building that housed 12 artist studios, including spaces used by emerging artists from underrepresented communities. The building happened to sit on valuable land. The artists had legal protections, but Dad's firm found loopholes. I quit the same day. "You're throwing away your future over some artists?" Mom had been horrified. "Do you know how this makes us look?" "I know exactly how it makes you look," I'd replied. "I took my signing bonus, my savings, every dollar I'd accumulated, and I did something they would have called insane. I became an art investor. But not the public kind. The invisible kind. I'd always loved art. As a child, I'd spent hours in museums while Mom networked at gallery openings. I understood art's value, not just aesthetically but financially. I knew emerging artists whose work was undervalued. I knew galleries struggling for capital. I knew collectors who'd sell masterpieces quietly for the right price. So I built an art portfolio in absolute secrecy. I used my grandfather Chen's surname for business. I created an LLC so opaque that even forensic accountants would need months to trace it back to me. I hired David, who understood discretion, to be my public face. For 6 years I built an empire they never saw. I acquired works from emerging artists before they hit mainstream galleries. I bought at estate sales. I negotiated private purchases of museum-quality pieces. I invested in galleries always as a silent partner, always through layers of corporate structures. My portfolio was now worth approximately $47 million. My annual acquisition budget was between $8 to $12 million. I sat on 3 gallery boards under assumed credentials. I'd been profiled in art news as the mysterious M. Chin, one of contemporary art's most influential anonymous collectors. And I'd spent $3.2 million keeping my mother's gallery alive. Bradford Gallery had been struggling before the pandemic. Mom's taste was excellent, but her business sense was terrible. She overextended on a Chelsea expansion. She made poor investment choices. She was 6 months from bankruptcy when Chin appeared with an offer. I'd purchase works through her gallery exclusively, providing steady capital in exchange for anonymity and first look at new acquisitions. She jumped at it. For 4 years I'd been her secret savior. I'd purchased that Basquiat that saved her Q3 2021. The Kusama that funded her renovation. The emerging artist collections that kept her afloat during slow seasons. I did it because despite everything I still loved art. And because somewhere deep down some stupid part of me hoped that my success, even anonymous, somehow mattered. But sitting in my car after being uninvited from Thanksgiving, that stupid part of me finally died. David called me the next morning. Rebecca, are you certain about this? Completely. That's your mother's primary revenue stream. Without your purchases, Bradford Gallery will. I know exactly what will happen, I interrupted. Execute the withdrawal. The Rothko alone is a $780,000 commission for her. I'm aware. He sighed. I'll handle it, but she'll panic. She'll start asking questions about Chin. Let her ask. You're under NDA. If she pushes, tell her Chin is relocating their collection focus to West Coast galleries. Be vague. Be professional. Be final. Understood. He paused. For what it's worth, I think you're making the right call. They uninvited me from Thanksgiving, David. Because having their daughter present would require them to explain that I'm not a corporate lawyer anymore. I'm an embarrassment. A situation to be managed. Then let's manage their situation, he replied quietly. The next day, David sent the formal notifications. All pending purchases cancelled. All consignment agreements terminated. The quarterly acquisition budget, usually $800,000 to $1.2 million, redirected. Mom's gallery manager called her in a panic. I know because Mom called me. Rebecca, something terrible has happened. Her voice was frantic. I was at a private viewing at Hamilton Contemporary, examining a phenomenal series by a Korean-American artist. What's wrong? My largest patron, Chin, just withdrew everything. Every pending purchase, every agreement. 4 years of partnership gone. No explanation. Rebecca, this is catastrophic. The Rothko sale was supposed to cover my operating costs through Q1. Without it she stopped. I heard her breathing hard. I'm ruined. I'll have to close the gallery. I examined the painting in front of me, a stunning piece about identity and erasure. That's terrible, Mom. Have you asked why? His advisor won't say. Just that they're redirecting their acquisition strategy. Rebecca, I don't know what to do. Your father's trying to help, but this is my business, my reputation. 4 years of this partnership and suddenly it's just gone. Maybe they found out something they didn't like, I said quietly. What? What could they have found out? I've been nothing but professional. I said nothing. Rebecca, are you even listening? This is serious. I could lose everything. Like being uninvited from Thanksgiving is serious? Silence. Rebecca. I have to go, Mom. I'm at a gallery opening. Good luck with your situation. I hung up. David texted me 20 minutes later. Your mother called me directly. Offering increased commission rates if Chin reconsiders. She's desperate. I replied. No reconsideration. Is she understanding the severity? She's crying in her office. Her gallery manager says she's never seen her like this. I stared at that text for a long time. Then I put my phone away and purchased $340,000 worth of art from Hamilton Contemporary. Thanksgiving week arrived. I spent it in Los Angeles, meeting with West Coast galleries and artists. I was having dinner at Republic when my phone started exploding with messages. Dad. Rebecca, call me immediately. My brother Jason, what did you do? Aunt Caroline, your mother is devastated. This is cruel. I ignored them all and finished my meal. Duck confit with farro, excellent wine. Then I checked my voicemail. Dad's voice was cold with rage. Rebecca Elizabeth Bradford. I don't know what you've done, but your mother's gallery is collapsing, and she seems to think you have something to do with it. Call me back right now. The second message was from Jason. Rebecca, Mom's gallery is closing. She's had to lay off her entire staff. She's losing the Chelsea location. She's a mess. If you know anything about this chin person pulling out, you need to help fix it. This is family. The third was from Mom. He was crying. Rebecca, please. If you know anyone, if you have any connections in the art world, I need help. The gallery is finished. 20 years of work, gone. I don't know what I did wrong. Please, sweetheart. I know we haven't always been close, but I need you. I deleted all the messages and ordered dessert. The gallery closure was announced the following Tuesday. Bradford Gallery, a pillar of Chelsea's art scene for 2 decades, would be shutting down due to unexpected financial restructuring. The art world press covered it with typical vulture enthusiasm. Art news. Bradford Gallery closes abruptly as mystery patron withdraws millions. The art newspaper. Margaret Bradford's Chelsea institution falls victim to fickle collector market. David sent me the articles with a brief note. She's giving interviews. Trying to maintain dignity. It's actually quite sad. I was reading them in my apartment. A penthouse in Tribeca they didn't know I owned, when my doorbell rang. Mom stood in the hallway. She looked terrible. Aged 10 years and 2 weeks. Her usual immaculate appearance was gone. Minimal makeup, uncombed hair, wearing jeans and a sweater instead of her typical gallery owner elegance. How did you find this address? I asked. I hired a private investigator, she said flatly. Can I come in? I stepped aside. She walked into my apartment and stopped. My walls were covered in museum-quality art. Behind Wiley. 2 Kara Walkers. A stunning landscape by Julie Marie II. Pieces worth hundreds of thousands of dollars each. Where did you get these? She whispered. I bought them. On what income? Rebecca, you left your job 6 years ago. Your father said you were probably temping, too proud to ask for help. But this apartment, this art. She turned to me and I saw the exact moment realization started to dawn. What do you do, Rebecca? I collect art. With what money? I own. She walked to the Marie II, examined it closely. This is real. Museum quality. This piece alone is worth. She stopped. Turned back to me. Who are you? I'm the daughter you uninvited from Thanksgiving because I was an embarrassment. Rebecca. I'm also chin. The color drained from her face. What? Your mysterious patron for 4 years. The one who kept your gallery alive. Who purchased $3.2 million in artwork through your business. Who made sure you survived the pandemic, the recession, your terrible business decisions. That was me. She sat down heavily on my couch. That's not possible. I built an art investment portfolio worth $47 million. I did it quietly, carefully, using Grandfather Chen's connections and my own knowledge. I've been one of the most active private collectors in New York for 6 years. You just never knew because I didn't want you to know. But you had no money. You left your job. I left my job with $340,000 in savings. I turned it into millions. She stared at me. Why? Because I loved art. Because I understood value. Because I was good at it. I sat across from her. And because somewhere in my stupid, naive mind I thought maybe if I helped you, even anonymously, it would matter. That I'd matter. Rebecca, you do matter. I was uninvited from Thanksgiving, Mom. Because the relatives don't know about my situation. Because explaining that your daughter isn't a corporate lawyer anymore would create uncomfortable questions. You chose Aunt Caroline's comfort over your own daughter's presence. Her hands shook. I didn't know. If I'd known. If you'd known I was wealthy, then I'd be worth acknowledging. I leaned forward. That's exactly the problem. I wasn't worth including as a struggling daughter. I was an embarrassment, a situation to be managed, someone whose absence was easier than their presence. But if you'd known I was Chin, then suddenly I'd matter. That's not fair. Isn't it? Tell me honestly, if I'd shown up to Thanksgiving and revealed I was a successful art investor, would you have been proud? Or would you have been angry that I'd kept it secret, that I'd embarrassed you by not living up to your expectations publicly? She said nothing. That's what I thought. I stood. Your gallery closed because I withdrew my patronage. I did it because I finally understood that no amount of success, not even anonymous success that literally saved your business, would make me worth including in this family. You valued Caroline's comfort over my presence. So I valued my investment capital over your business. Rebecca, please. I made a mistake. A terrible mistake. But destroying my gallery. I didn't destroy your gallery, Mom. I stopped saving it. There's a difference. She started crying. Real tears, not the elegant dabbing she did at gallery openings. 20 years of work. Gone. 6 years of being dismissed. Excluded. Treated like a disappointment. I walked to the window. I spent $3.2 million keeping you afloat. I could have spent that money on emerging artists who actually needed support. Instead, I spent it on someone who wouldn't invite me to Thanksgiving. What do you want from me? Her voice broke. Nothing anymore. That's the point. She left 20 minutes later. Broken, crying, devastated. I felt nothing. David called that evening. Your father's been trying to reach me. He knows. Let him know. Rebecca, he's threatening legal action. Claims you manipulated your mother's business. With what grounds? I was an anonymous patron who withdrew my business. Completely legal. If he pushes, I have documentation of every transaction, every legitimate purchase. Let him try. He's also calling in favors. Trying to find out about your finances. He'll find corporate structures, LLCs and dead ends. I've been careful. And if he somehow traces everything back to me, what's he going to do? Be angry that I'm successful? That I built something without his help? He's telling people you sabotaged your mother deliberately. I did. He sabotaged my Thanksgiving. I sabotaged her Q4. We're even. That's cold, Rebecca. That's fair, David. Christmas came. I didn't receive an invitation. I spent it in Tokyo meeting with Japanese collectors and attending private viewings. Jason called on New Year's Eve. Mom's seeing a therapist. Dad's furious but pretending everything's fine. Aunt Caroline found out the truth and is horrified. The family's a mess. Good, I replied. That's really how you feel. Good. They excluded me when they thought I was a failure. Now they're dealing with the consequences of excluding someone successful. Yes, Jason. I feel good. She's our mother. She's the woman who valued her sister's comfort over her daughter's presence. She's the woman who built a career on my anonymous money and didn't think I was worth a seat at Thanksgiving dinner. I paused. Did you defend me, Jason? When they uninvited me, did you say anything? His silence was answer enough. That's what I thought. You all chose the easy path. Keep Rebecca away, avoid uncomfortable questions, maintain the comfortable lie. Well, congratulations. The lie's comfortable now. I'm completely out of it. Rebecca. I have to go. I'm meeting collectors. I hung up. 3 months later I received a letter. Handwritten on Mom's personal stationery. Rebecca. I've spent 3 months in therapy trying to understand what I did. My therapist says I need to take accountability without expectations of forgiveness. So here it is. I failed you. Not when I uninvited you from Thanksgiving. That was just the moment you finally had enough. I failed you 6 years ago when you left your father's firm and I called it a disappointment. I failed you every time I introduced you vaguely, avoided explaining your career, treated your choices as something to be managed rather than respected. I built my entire identity on being Margaret Bradford, gallery owner, art world fixture. When you didn't fit that narrative, when you chose a different path, I couldn't handle it. I made your choices about me, about how they reflected on me. I didn't know you were Chin. But I should have known you were capable of being Chin. I should have known my daughter was brilliant, strategic, successful. I should have asked about your life instead of avoiding it. The gallery is closed. I've lost my business, my reputation in many circles. I deserve that. What I don't deserve is another chance to be your mother. I know that. But I'm asking anyway. Not for money. Not for help rebuilding. Just for the possibility that someday, you might let me see who you actually are. I love you. I should have said that more. I should have shown it better. I read that letter 17 times. Then I put it in a drawer and didn't respond. 6 months after Thanksgiving, I was at a gallery opening in Brooklyn when I saw her. Mom was standing in front of a piece by an emerging Haitian-American artist, studying it with the intense focus she always had with art she genuinely loved. She looked different, older, quieter, less performed. She was dressed simply. No jewelry. No gallery owner costume. She was there as just someone who loved art. I watched her for 10 minutes before she noticed me. When she did, her face went through a dozen emotions: surprise, fear, hope, resignation. "Rebecca," she said quietly. "Mom, this artist is exceptional. The use of color, the narrative structure." She stopped. "Sorry, I don't have the right to art talk with you. You always had that right. Art was the one thing we shared." She smiled sadly. "Until I made you share it alone." We stood in awkward silence. "I got your letter," I finally said. "You didn't respond." I didn't know what to say. "That's fair." Another silence. "I'm starting a new project," Mom said carefully. "Not a gallery. I can't do that again. But I'm consulting with emerging artists from underrepresented communities, helping them navigate the art world, avoid the mistakes I made. No profit, just trying to do something that matters." "That sounds good. It's what I should have done from the beginning. What you understood 6 years ago when you quit Dad's firm. That success isn't just about profit. It's about what you build, who you help, whether you make things better." I looked at the painting we were both admiring. "This piece is $12,000. Undervalued. In 3 years it'll be worth $80,000 minimum." "You're probably right." "I'm definitely right. I'm going to buy it." Chin strikes again? Rebecca Bradford strikes again. "I'm done being anonymous, Mom. I'm done hiding what I built." She nodded slowly. "I'm glad." I purchased the piece. As the gallery owner processed my payment, I turned to Mom. "I'm not ready to forgive you. I don't know if I ever will be." "I understand. But I'm willing to have coffee sometime. Talk about art. Just art." Her eyes filled with tears. "I'd like that. Not as mother and daughter. Not yet. Maybe never. But as two people who love art." "Whatever you're willing to give," she whispered. We had coffee 3 weeks later. We talked about art for 2 hours. Nothing personal. Nothing emotional. Just two experts discussing color theory, market trends, emerging artists. It was the best conversation we'd had in years. At the end, as we were leaving, she said, "Rebecca, can I ask you something?" "Maybe. When you withdrew your patronage from my gallery, when you destroyed my business, did it feel good?" I thought about it. Really thought about it. "No," I finally said. "It felt fair." "There's a difference." She nodded. "That's what I'm learning. Fair doesn't always feel good. But it's still right." I never went back to family Thanksgivings. I never reconciled with Dad, who still tells people I sabotaged Mom's business out of spite. Jason and I have a cordial but distant relationship. But Mom and I have coffee once a month. We talk about art. Sometimes she asks about my life, carefully, respectfully. I tell her what I'm comfortable sharing. Last month she asked if I'd ever consider investing in her consulting project. Not as Chin, not as anonymous support, but as Rebecca Bradford, art investor with full credit and recognition. I said I'd think about it. Because here's what I learned. You can't build a relationship on anonymous support. You can't love someone while hiding who you are. You can't be part of a family that requires you to be invisible. They wanted me gone to avoid uncomfortable questions. I stayed gone until they were willing to face uncomfortable answers. I'm Rebecca Bradford. I built a $47 million art portfolio in 6 years. I saved my mother's gallery for 4 years while she was ashamed to invite me to Thanksgiving. And when she chose comfort over my presence, I chose my dignity over her business. That's not revenge. That's not cruelty. It's just fair. And sometimes, fair is the most loving thing you can do.